Hello and welcome to Bloke on the Range, and I'm sitting here in not very sunny Buckinghamshire with Kevin, who you may recognise from earlier on the channel when he hosted me at Lodrino in Bella Italia, in October 2017. Now, exactly a year and a day ago, Kevin moved back to the UK, and exactly 1 day ago, he picked up his first Section 1 firearm, having gone through the ringer of getting a Section 1 firearms certificate.
I'm going to have to show off.
You are going to have to show off. Long Branch 1944 5 Groove.
Oh yes.
Number 4. Mark 1 star.
Not my 1 star? Yeah.
So what we thought we'd do is use this opportunity to have an up-to-the-minute explanation of going through the Section 1 ringer. And
I went through it.
Yeah. Now, very quickly, basically, Section 1 is manually operated rifles, 22 rimfire semi-autos, long-barreled revolvers, as in 60 centimetres long minimum, long-barreled 2.2 semi-auto pistols, and certain short-barreled and or high-capacity shotguns. High-capacity being can hold more than 2 in the magazine.
Yeah.
So, obviously this takes quite a long time, and why don't you take us through the procedure from landing in
Well,
the
a
UK?
long time is right. It's taken me, as you said, a year to the day to finally get a rifle in my hands. Obviously, after owning many rifles in Italy, completely different process. But I arrived with nothing, not knowing anything. Where am I? And the first thing I did was join a club. Now, you have to join a club, because if you're firing full bore, you need the space, you need the justification. So, actually, thanks to you, and thanks to a friend, Neil, I was given a club called the Old Sergeant's Mess at Bisley. Got in touch with them, went down, met them, and joined as a probationary member. And that's where I saw the biggest difference. So it was literally over just 6 months as a probationary member, going through all the courses. Everything from sitting with a rifle, looking at a rifle, counting your fingers, all guns are always loaded, 50,000 times around a table. Even though they knew I've been shooting for many years, also a qualified instructor, that didn't matter. You have to go through those hoops.
Modern Britain is a hoop jumping exercise.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
They even said, sorry Kev, we know you can shoot, but you've got to go through this.
Tick boxes.
It was literally tick boxes. Every time I went on a shoot as a probationary member, I would have something ticked off by an instructor.
Did you do any muzzle-loading revolver? Forgot to mention muzzle-loading revolvers as Section 1 and muzzle-loading single-shot pistols as Section 1.
Well, I didn't do any, no.
You didn't do any?
No. But obviously, I was talking quite a lot about my experience as a reenactor, shooting muzzle-loaders, and it was quite funny how they were asking me, what do you do about embers down the barrel, and did you have buckets of water on standby? And I'm like, nah, if it didn't go bang, you put more powder in until it goes bang. Which shocked them, but but yeah, we went through the ticking the boxes. They had to do that. They were really good about it, and it was actually quite enjoyable. The level of instruction here is much higher than in Italy. So I actually learned, at the beginning I was like, why are they teaching me? I know this. No, to tell you the truth, I did learn quite a lot, but it was a long process. 6 months, a lot of boxes, a lot of shoots to justify. And then a final walk-through assessment where they put together everything you've learned, everything from cleaning a rifle, going to the range, going to the NRA office, signing a range, getting your radio. And then after that, if they're happy with you, they put you on as a full member.
At which point?
At that point, I could finally apply for my FAC. So I don't know if we want to go into details of the differences, but here obviously you have to put in for slots.
Yeah. All right. Let's just take a step back. The way the British licensing system is set up is based around fears in the post-World War I world of Bolshevik revolutionaries, and there are certain things that the Brits take for granted. I knew the Reds had
something to do with this.
Yeah. It's why at that time shotguns weren't controlled, because they were not considered a military risk. They were just something you bought in a hardware store.
Yeah.
They didn't come under any real form of control until the 1968 Firearms Act. But the early Firearms Act that came in the early 1920s was all based around making sure that people couldn't form their own red militias, basically. So there's certain concepts that come through.
Red.
Well, used to be anyway.
Used to be, yeah. Auburn.
And it's quite interesting, having lived in several countries under several different licensing regimes and knowing about other systems like the US and Canada, which are based on different things, fear of crime, for instance. There are certain things that are just, to translate a Dutch expression, that you get with your mother's milk in the UK, one of which is slots and the other of which is ammunition limits.
Yeah.
Now, when you get a firearm certificate, you have a number of slots and it will give you permission to acquire, for instance, one 303 rifle, one 22 rifle, one muzzle-loading revolver, one moderator.
Yes.
Things like...
and they're not predetermined slots. It's not
No,
like
they're
already you've got 10 slots. No, it's like you put in for that.
You negotiate your slots.
Yes. So, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, so tell us how you negotiated your slots.
Well, obviously with some advice from the club and the sort of things I've already been shooting and the things I'm looking to get back into shooting, which is obviously myself is military surplus, the Enfields 303. They also said, obviously, you've been doing other shooting here, because I've been doing like target shooting with target rifles for the first time because I was using club rifles, and I thought that's quite interesting as well. So they suggested, you put in one for everything. 7.62 for a scope rifle, a 303. So you put that sort of thing in, and your justification is what you've shot and what you think you'll be able to shoot. Now, whatever you do, you can't just make it up. You've got to give them proof or justification that is something you really intend to do. So in my case, it was 303 for obvious reasons, 7.62 because of the target rifle shooting I've been doing, and you have to prove every shoot that you've done. You have to photocopy it and give a copy, and they look at that and they think you're justified. You can't just say, I want that because it's shiny.
And you're negotiating every single slot.
Yes, they want to know, why do you want a 303? You give them a justification. Now, they're really good about it. They were friendly, they were nice when they came round to visit me.
And naming a generally recognised discipline is one. I want to shoot historic service rifle.
Okay, so I put in for, we mentioned that I put in for a shotgun licence and the FAC.
Oh yeah,
So why did I put in, I've put in for 2 Section 1 shotguns, and they wanted to know why. Now, I've done the target shotgun course. That was justification enough for me to own. I put in for 2 for a semi-auto and a pump. That was their justification. Now, if I hadn't have done that course, they would not have given me that FAC. If I'd done no 7.62 shooting, they might quite possibly have not given me a 7.62 slot. So you do justify every slot.
It was a little easier when I did it back in 1998-9. In fact, I asked for like 2 slots, and he talked me into more because he didn't want to faff around with the paperwork with a variation.
Yeah.
Which is, if you want an extra slot, or let's say you sell a 303, you can do like for like variation. So you sell a 303, and then they'll give you that slot back as a 303. But if you say, no, I want a Car 98K, that is a full-on variation you have to pay for to get that slot changed.
They reduced the amount of slots I put in for. They didn't let me have everything. They suggested that in the future, if I can prove that I'm going to be shooting a lot more in that discipline, I'll have to put in for a variation.
Yeah.
So
what do variations cost these days?
20 quid.
Oh, right. I seem to recall they were 26 back in the day.
Oh, the guy told me 20 quid, but I'll let you know. We'll do an update. We'll do an update when I've got a whole pile of rifles behind me.
Yeah. I've been out of the UK for so long now. I'm not up to date on the fine details of how it goes right now.
I felt a year and a day ago.
Yeah,
when I turned up, it was like, I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do, I don't know how I was trying to go on online forums, trying to understand how shooting works in the UK, and I think I got there.
Yeah, you have indeed. So, I mean, that's how it works for a target shooter. What was the cost of the permit?
So it was £90 total for both.
For 5 years?
For 5 years, it was all done online, which is quite refreshing compared to my firearms licensing in Italy, where you run around to a million different public offices, getting stamps here, stamps there, often for no reason whatsoever. Here, it's a lot simpler, and I think more efficient here, even though there's obviously more limitations than what we can have.
Limitations, ammunition limits. How much ammunition do they give you?
I think you can put in for as much as you want, and it's down to them to decide. So I put in for example, 500 rounds of each, and they said, we'll give you 200. You kind of bartered.
There's a kind of standard tariff of what. And this is, and the funny thing is with the licensing people, they imbibed this with their mother's milk, and it's just totally self-evident that there would be ammunition limits and they'd be ridiculously low. By, I mean, I can come back. Well, I did come back from a gun shop with 2 entire cans full of 7.62.
Did that lot in Italy as well. A lot.
And in Holland, it's 10,000 live rounds for things what go in your guns, plus primers.
Yeah, I like that. What go in your guns.
Yeah. And that's it. Beyond that, there's no control. Every time you buy ammunition here, it gets written on the back of your certificate.
Yep, I noticed that yesterday. I bought my first box of 3x3, and he wrote it on my licence. Huh?
Yeah.
What happens when you run out of spaces if so buy ammo?
I don't know. Well, you'll have sent it in for a variation by then, so it'll come back clean.
Come back clean, yeah.
But this is an oddity of the British system, that there are extremely strict controls on the number of on the number of rounds to be held.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there is a limit in Italy. It's 1,500 of what goes in your gun, as you really coolly put. I like that. I'm going to use that more in conversation.
So that's a fairly tight limit compared to other countries, but compared to the UK, that is quite loose. I mean, to have 1,500 centre fire, you'd probably have to have so many calibers that you were justifying 200 of each, or if you were a national level, county level competitor, they might let you have more. Random story, back in the day, we actually had different limits for acquisition and possession, which they've abolished. It's now just limits to have. I had 1,000 2.2 to acquire and 1,500 to hold. I sent my firearm certificate in for a variation, and it came back randomly, and there'd been an internal change in policy, and it came back as hold 500, possess 750. Oh, hello. And this was at the time when they were typing everything in each time. I said, there's an error, that my 2.2 limit has been reduced. Oh yes, policy now, unless you're county or above level, we only allow 500 acquire, 750 hold. Okay, well, you didn't tell me this, and you didn't, but you could have put me in infringement of the conditions on my certificate, because if I had 751 cartridges, I would have been breaking the law. Do not pass go.
It's a bit like
your license.
Slightly different, but in Bella Italia, you're allowed 5 kilos of powder.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and as I said, you can have 1,500 rounds of ammunition. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but if you buy 1,500 rounds of ammunition, 5 kilos of powder, you're in trouble. Because it's all accumulative.
They count down the amount.
They count down what's in your bullets.
All right.
So, general advice is buy 3 kilos and reload, because otherwise you're going to be in front of the policeman opening your rounds and weighing them to see if you've gone over the 5 kilos.
In Holland, it was 2 kilos of loose powder, but black powder counting twice.
Oh, twice. Okay.
They didn't count the amount of powder in fixed ammunition.
Now, black powder, I still have to put in for that license.
Yes.
In Italy, it was exactly, you just bought it. And to tell you the truth, apart from obviously buying the powder, you didn't need a license for example, a Brown Bess.
Yeah.
I put in for my shotgun license mainly for the Brown Bess.
Yeah.
Because here it's considered a shotgun.
Yeah. Well, let's just quickly talk about shotgun licenses, because these came in with the 1968 Act, and there wasn't even shotgun registration. It was just like a Canadian PAL, where it was just an acquisition, a permit to acquire as many and hold as many shotguns as your little heart desired. Which is
technically still the same.
But now they're registered since the 1988 Act.
Okay.
They're registered and listed on the shotgun certificate. When you buy them, you have to let
them know. But there are no limits.
No,
there's no slots, anything like that.
And it shall issue. The police can refuse you one if you're a criminal or you come across as really, really dodgy when they come for the home visit. How was your home visit?
Fine. I got biscuits and tea out and put on my charming act. And really friendly, actually gave me a lot of advice, told me what best thing to do.
They checked your gun safe?
They checked my gun safe thoroughly, and I'm not joking.
Tried to pull it off the wall.
Yeah. Actually, that worried me at the beginning. I thought, I'm buying out for a safe and fix it to the wall. What if they turn around and say, no, we don't want to give you one because you're dodgy? No, they came round. They were really helpful. I'm not going to deny the whole process from when they called me was good. The process is really easy. Everything's online. I had a bit of a doubt because they told me 2 months. After 3 months, I was a bit worried. I wrote them an email and they replied straight away saying, sorry about that, we'll be round. And that was it, really. In that sense, a lot easier than Italy.
Yeah.
But a lot more restrictions.
Yeah, but back of the plot, shotguns are shall issue, although some police forces have a tendency to make up rules that go beyond the letter and the spirit of the law, and I'll start asking questions they have no rights to ask.
Yes, and where I am, I won't mention. Apparently they're the worst in Britain. If you know anything about shooting, you know where I am then.
Yeah. Well, we did say...
Buckingham Shooting.
Yeah, we did. Never mind.
I didn't actually give my address out. So.
No. But there are certain other people who live in other police force districts who say exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
But there's quite a variation in how it's applied and a certain amount of making the rules up.
Well, an example of that, I've got a friend at the range, met lots of nice people, now my friends, who put the safe in his loft, and the police came round and said no. Justification was, in their eyes, you're going to come home from a shoot, you're tired, you're knackered, you're not going to put it away that night, and that's why they said we don't want it in the loft. Whereas my firearms officer, I can't remember what they're called,
Firearms liaison officer,
FLO, said, I suggested, I think I might be able to get it in the loft. He went, oh, no, we don't want it in the loft. No, sorry, the opposite. My one said, if you get it in the loft, it's better.
Yep.
Whereas my friend, it was the absolute opposite, because they said, you're going to come home from a shoot, you're going to be too knackered, you're not going to put it away, and that's when it's going to get stolen. Whereas my one said, can you put it in the loft? And I actually said no, because it technically wouldn't fit in the loft. Well, physically, technically, everything wouldn't fit. So that's personal interpretation of the law, I suppose. Well, not the law.
Well, the interpretation of the guidance, which is an interpretation of the law. So you get a lot of variety from police force to police force, to a much greater degree than in Switzerland, for instance. I mean, we get variety in the interpretation of the permits for acquiring technically forbidden weapons. That varies a lot from canton to canton. But with the basic acquisition permit, because it's all shall issue in Switzerland, there's no variation. It's you put in for it, you don't have a criminal record, you get it.
Actually, I mean, in Italy,
except Zurich, where sometimes it's done at municipality level, and sometimes some places in Zurich apparently they have a discussion at the council meeting as to whether they should let you or not. But that'll last until they really annoy somebody who's a lawyer. Yeah, and he'll just sue them.
Whereas in Italy, it's not shall. You can be denied for any number of reasons. Example, a friend of mine was actually physically attacked in Italy, and they came round, confiscated his weapons and took away his firearms license because, according to the Maresciallo, they thought you might retaliate against the person who beat you up. Okay. And in Italy, it's not, you shall, you shan't. It's not a right. Yeah. It's a privilege, and he was denied it. Actually, he had it taken away, and it can be denied for other reasons. Yeah. That's a difference, I suppose.
There are lots of things you can do here which will cause you to lose your license.
Oh, I was given a very friendly but stern talking to about being a good boy and how anything can affect it. Driving offences, anything, they can take it away. Yeah. Drink driving, forget it. Dangerous driving as well, yep. I drive like an Italian, that's the problem. I'm not going to last very long, am I?
Yeah, you should be on the right side of the road.
Yeah, they won't catch me that way.
Yeah. Oh, little random aside. Kevin's been here a year, I've been here a few days. We both walked around the wrong side of the car simultaneously. I was driving, I walked around to the left, Kev walked around to the right.
I still sit in the car and I go like that to get the gear stick. And that's a year. That's a year.
Back in the day I had a friend who had two run-ins wasn't really the right word, two interactions with the police for other than firearms licensing issues in a short period. The first, I can't remember which way around they were, but anyway, he was involved in a fairly nasty road traffic accident at one point, and someone punched him. And they said, "Ooh, you've come up twice now, and we're just going to take you." Like he had a single shot target rifle on his license, and they took it. They pulled his license because he'd had two negative interactions with with the law, even though he wasn't at fault either time. That was a bit overly hard, very much.
I would have thought though that some legal intervention like BASC or whatever would have sorted that out.
Yeah, it was a bit early for that.
For that sort of thing, yeah.
BASC is very good now. BASC, British Association for Shooting and Conservation. If you're a shooter in the UK these days, you should join them. They're the equivalent of Protel. There's a legal assistance insurance.
A few people have mentioned that to me, so that is something I'm definitely going to do because, quite a few people have said any problems you got.
Yeah,
they are the ones that have got no problems suing the police.
Yes, the National Rifle Association, the National Small Bore Rifle Association, the others are a bit more touchy-feely, a bit more reticent to get involved heavily in litigation. BASC, this is what we do.
Somebody said yesterday, I think one of your friends said it was about 80 quid a year or something like that.
Yeah, well. It's well worth it. I would say to people in Switzerland, join Protel, even if it's just for the firearm-specific legal assistance insurance. Same with BASC, and it's an umbrella group for. They don't say, oh, we're BASC, we only care about hunters issues. No, it's hunters, target shooters, and collectors. And we haven't talked about hunters and collectors here because it's outside the scope of what you went through, and I haven't had any personal experience of it, so there's no.
I mean, I could bang on for 3 hours about Italy, the Italian firearms laws, but maybe for another video.
Yeah, once it's settled down with the EU thing, maybe get you and Cook or something and sort that out.
My adventure officially started again yesterday after a year of being in limbo.
And you were going to shoot that in the Agincourt match
on Saturday.
So that will be great. I've introduced him to the world of British Alpine Rifles yesterday, and he'll have his first personal adventure there in next Saturday.
Getting exciting.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks
Cheers,
very
mate.
much for agreeing to talk and tell your story, and thanks very much for having me here.
And we've still got some more sausage rolls to get through.
We still have some more sausage rolls to get through. Oh yeah, the picnic was there was only you, your son, me, and Ollie. So we had lots of leftovers.
Loads of food, and the cats are going to be happy for a month as well. So
excellent. Right, thank you very much. Thank you very much to my patrons who enabled me to physically be here in the UK at the end of this project we've done with Neil of the Worksworth Gun Room a few days prior. And
Neil, great guy.
Yep.
He helped me actually quite a lot in this whole process.
Yep. So excellent. Right, see you again sometime. Bye.